your seatbelt. It's going to be a bumpy ride.
Chrissie is hilarious.
Chrissie, have you ever heard of the comedian Basha K. Ali?
No, that sounds like something you yell out before you blow up a plane.
30 seconds remaining.
But you know what, good to say I doubt stand-up or something. I haven't been disrespectful to you at all.
I was very confused by the title, Everything Everywhere All at Once, because that's also what we call it when Ash takes off his shirt. I shouldn't be up here. I should be in school on the other side of the ocean. Oh, what's up, boys and girls? Welcome to another episode of the Chrissie Mayr Podcast. We're on iTunes, YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, Rumble, Rockfin, I think maybe even Odyssey. All the places where fine podcasts can be heard. Before I bring in our very famous guest, I have to tell you about some stand-up comedy gigs that I'm doing very soon. I'm heading to Vegas 2 weeks from today. I'll be in Vegas for the Geeks and Gamers Friday Night Tights meetup on Wednesday, April 26th. We're meeting up at the Millennium Fandom Bar, I think at around 6. And then I'm headlining the next evening, Thursday, April 27th at The Space. Get your tickets now. Lila Hart will be featuring for me. Keanu Thompson will be joining as well. Then we're heading to Dallas, Texas. I'll be at Hyenas Comedy Club Friday, May 5th and Saturday, May 6th. 2 shows Friday, 2 shows Saturday. Lots of opportunity to come out if you're in Dallas. Lila Hart and Keanu Thompson will be joining me at these shows as well. Plus, I'll be making some appearances at the Blaze earlier in the week. Then I got Richmond, Virginia coming up Wednesday, August 9th. I'm headlining Sandman Comedy Club out there. First time performing in Virginia. I'm excited. I'm going to be losing my virginity, I guess. Then we got Anime Matsuri, August 10th through the 13th in Houston, Texas. Simpcast will have a panel and booth at the convention. We'll be hanging out all weekend long. Plus, I'm headlining that Friday in Houston at the Secret Group. That's Friday, August 11th, 7 o'clock show. Nice and early so you can have, you can drink the whole rest of the night or cosplay, whatever it is that you do. Get your tickets now if you know you're going to be at Anime Matsuri. It should be a really fun time. I think a lot of YouTubers are coming out for that convention. It'll be my first time there. So I'm really excited, guys. Yeah. And of course, as always, tune into my other shows, Simpcast, Sundays at 9 p.m. Eastern, and also The Wet Spot, which is on Compound Media, on Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern. Wow, I look a little pink. I did not bother to white balance today. That's fine, because I have a supportive ginger brother today on the show. You might recognize him. You should recognize him. We both wore tourists in DC on the very same day. I'll put it that way. I'm so happy. We've been chatting for months. This is such a long time coming, this interview. So I'm so happy he's here. He's a carpenter. He's a ginger. He's a patriot. Welcome to the show. He's a triple threat. Adam Johnson, hello.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Yay. I feel like I should have my hair down now. Like, we really have, especially with my hair blown out like this, we really are like twinsies. Except you have slightly more facial hair than me.
My wife did my hair tonight. When she's home, She does it.
Wow.
She's a fantastic person.
Is she a hairstylist, or just like she's a woman, so she knows how to do hair?
She's a doctor, but she is also my makeup and hairstylist as well.
Wow. Doctor and hair. That's amazing.
She does it all.
Cool. And just so people know where they can follow you, Adam, are you more of an Instagram person? Are you more of a Twitter person?
I'm basically shadow banned on Facebook, Instagram. I don't get a lot of interaction, so I'm on Twitter now in the Wild Wild West. It's been a lot of fun. You can find me at Lectern Leader on Twitter. The Lectern Guy. I have a lot of fun. Most of my stuff is in satire and in jest. If you read something like "I can't believe he believes that," I probably don't.
Isn't that wild? The people I think are so excited and ready to misunderstand folks. Like they would rather assume someone's racist than be like, let me give them the benefit of the doubt. Like I think people really, I think being angry and offended is an addiction for some folks. And
It is. We've lost our
yeah.
sense of humor. We really have. I think people are looking for a reason to be upset, for a reason to be triggered. And I think if we all just took a deep breath and learned to laugh at ourselves and other people again, it'd be a better place.
I was just watching. This is kind of flattering, and like it's weird to say this because I don't think of myself as a famous person by any stretch of the imagination. Like I think I'm very much a niche person. So I'm like, all right, I'm happy if like I have a few hundred whatever friends, fans, whatever. So so to see this today was so shocking to me. There's a 3-hour long debate on YouTube. I'm not done watching it yet. But these two guys are debating whether or not I'm racist. Like one guy thinks I'm not and is obviously like a person who consumes, enjoys, appreciates, understands comedy. And then there's the guy who does think I'm racist, who you can tell doesn't like couldn't even name 5 comedians. Doesn't consume comedy, doesn't understand it, doesn't like it, has no sense of humor. And I'm like, the confidence this guy has to critique and to like, first of all, he's like, I think Chrissie Mayr is a racist because he was very triggered by this one of my tweets where I was sitting on the InfoWars desk and I said that my stripper name was Sandy Hook, and that triggered. I'm amazed at how many people that triggered because I thought that was pretty tame. I was like, if anything, I'm making fun of stripper names, and it's possible that pre the event there could have been a stripper named Sandy Hook because
Well, not every joke is gonna land. I mean, not everyone's gonna get your brand of humor, but that's what comedy is. Comedy is
yeah.
showing up, and I've got these handful of jokes, and you develop a set. My wife and I, we there's a comedy club near us called McCurdy's. Have you played
I've
McCurdy's yet?
heard of it. Is that in
Yeah, it's Sarasota area.
okay, that's Florida. Okay.
It's in Florida. Yeah, we're in Florida. I'm doxxed, so it doesn't matter. I live in Florida.
Oh,
Yeah, so
don't show up at his house.
please don't, please don't. We go to McCurdy's all the time, and we see comics that are fantastic. Sometimes we laugh, sometimes we don't. But the courage to get out there and just say some stuff. I mean, it's the last bastion of free speech.
Yeah, like, it's like, I don't understand, space travel. I've never traveled in space. I don't know anything about it, so it's like, I would not go and begin critiquing space travelers, like astronauts, like, I don't know how that happens. It's confusing to me. I don't know, that's probably a bad example. Or let's say, like, I don't like rap at all. If I'm going, "Oh, these rappers are horrible." It's like, well, you don't even like any kind of rap, so I don't know, it's just funny to me. There's a lot of people who really just they get off on being offended because it makes them I feel bad for these people ultimately because it makes them feel superior, which is kind of like a drug. And you're gonna have a rough time going through this life if you don't have a sense of humor. Like things are gonna affect you. You're gonna have darker moments. You're gonna be more depressed. So I ultimately feel bad for this dude, but yes, a 3-hour a 3-hour debate.
Well, they probably don't have anything else going on in their lives. So they fixate on things they get attention for. And it's the negative attention they're getting where they're just perpetuating this thing that just makes people more angry.
Yeah.
It's like, go read a book, go outside, get a hobby, go do something.
Or like, yeah, find something you like. Do a video about something you like to talk about. And then this person went on to be like, well, she's on Friday Night Tights and she's with, she does videos with Eric July and Nerdrotic and Jeremy and Ryan Ken. So I'm like, oh, okay. You hate these other people. And so I'm guilty and horrible by association. Got it. Okay.
I love Gary and that whole crew. It's actually one of my favorite podcasts because
They're
it's a
fun.
break away from like the serious stuff. It's jokes,
Yeah. And definitely you have to have a sense of humor if you're the kind of person who is captured on photo doing this. I mean, this to me says sense of humor.
Well, my judge was not very happy about that photo. He actually said,
Oh.
he didn't have a sense of humor, but it's his job to be super serious, up there above me. raining down judgment.
Yeah.
He said that I was making a mockery of the country, and it's like, I wasn't making a mockery of the country. The country's making a mockery of itself, and I'm just pointing out the joke.
Yeah. Also, I'm sure the dude that's got to move around the podium carries it very similarly. He's probably not waving, but it's, you're not dragging it on the floor. You're
No,
holding it, I think, with care and regard.
absolutely. That pinky stretch was very difficult. People don't know that. I actually
didn't even see that. Wow, look at this pinky.
My hand was spasming for like 10 minutes afterwards.
Wow, did you keep your pinky like this the whole time?
I did. I play guitar, so it's fine.
You were trying to play the podium.
Exactly. I'm used to the finger stretching. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So how did we get to a place where we were I guess tourists of the same the same place on the same day? What led you to visit DC on that fateful day?
Oh, lots of things. Lots of things. We'll skip the obvious we can't talk about, as we've covered previously. But there's kind of some things that are underneath the surface that we don't talk about. If we want to go back, when COVID struck and we were being locked down, told where we can and can't go, if we can travel or not travel, do this, don't do that, don't do that. And everywhere you looked was COVID, COVID, COVID. And then you consider, I got 5 sons. So I don't like war at all because they're getting close to draft age. And then I see this guy, in office who is just trying to not have war, withdrawals from war. And I'm like, I kind of want to vote that guy in. He's the first guy I've ever voted for ever in my life. Didn't vote in 16, voted in 2020. I mean, in 16, I was like, it's a reality TV star. Not really sure we should have that guy.
Yeah,
in
I wasn't
office.
sure on him either in 2016. It took me a long time to come around.
Yeah. And then I watched 4 years or 3 years of policy and then 1 year of stunted, COVID. And then I was like, I think I'm going to vote for the guy. I think I'm actually going to register and vote because I don't want war. And that's like the biggest thing to me.
Were you politically apathetic before? Why weren't you registered?
I am. You made a comment on your Twitter. I think it was yesterday where you said I'm too left for the right and too right for the left. And that's literally kind of where I live. And a lot of people, when they get to know me, they're shocked about my politics. And I'm not this gung-ho conservative where it's like, I want to have all these things. Like if you had a nice 2-hour-long conversation with me, be like, he actually seems a little bit left on some things. And it's because I am. I absolutely am. And I won't delve too deep into that because that's like 2-hour conversation based in that. But
that's where most people lie. Being like, yeah, be gay. Just don't make my kid be gay if you can help it.
Well, it's
like
not going in my mouth.
Take. Right.
So who cares?
Don't put it down my throat and make me swallow it.
Exactly.
I've already been to college, okay? Yeah.
Well, if you're an adult, you can make your decisions. Like I'm very libertarian in that way. Like I don't care if you want to have your surgeries, if you want to be called, Lydia or Kelly. I don't care. It costs me nothing. It costs me nothing to give you that grace. But I also won't deny like biology, because I think that's super, super important.
Yeah. So maybe you're more libertarian, but right, by today's standards, you'd be considered part of the alt-right along with myself.
Yes.
So, yeah, we're all kind of frustrated with the same things. We want to use our freedom of speech. We feel like things were handled unfairly. Right, we're coming out of lockdowns. There's a lot of frustration in the air, a lot of unheard voices. So we go.
I go to my first protest ever. I've never been to a protest in my life.
Oh, wow.
It's my first one. So
wow, you really did it big.
If you do something, do it right. So or wrong, depending on your political leaning. So my buddy texts me on Instagram. He's like, hey, do you want to go up there? This is probably 2.5 weeks before January 6th. And I was like, well, I'll see if I can get a sitter and sure, we'll go. So we asked the wife and she's like, are you sure? And I'm like, it's going to be fun. It'll be fine. I'll be safe.
It'll be fun. Baby.
Yeah, it'll be a good, it's history. It's Trump's last hurrah. We've never been at this, point in our country ever. So she gives me like a yes, cause she trusts me, mistake number one. And we bought plane tickets and we head up to DC. We got there, I think, a day before January 6th. We flew in early in the morning. Excuse me.
COVID.
And Yeah, COVID. Yes, long COVID. Long COVID. Yeah. So we got there the day before, and we had to go in and see Alex Jones in the they had a park at Centennial Park or something in DC.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep. So we saw him speak, and then we kind of got bored after that because it was a bunch of just, the same rhetoric you've been hearing, like, day in and day out. They do this, they do that. We got to stand up. And we actually, there's a picture. I can't pull it up. You can find it, though, I'm sure. We end up getting caught in with this group that's kind of marching down the road. And again, never been in a protest before, but it turns out I found after the fact they're actually Proud Boys. I had I had no idea. So I'm
they
marching.
get a bad rap. There's
Yeah.
a lot of good ones out there.
Yeah. Well, I'm marching with these people, and they're very like, just they got a megaphone to march, and they're like, this happened, and we're here to say America first, and it's our country. And we ended up getting to a place where there's like this police barricade, and the protest that we're in stops in front of the police barricade, and about 100 yards down the alley, there is a separate protest going on. It's BLM.
Was this the day before, or this is the day of?
This was the day before.
Okay.
This was the day
5th.
before.
Okay.
This is my first experience in DC. So we're sitting there, and I'm asking the cops, like, hey, what's going on? It's like, oh, it's a BLM protest. They have, they filed the paperwork. They can be there. They're allowed to protest. It's fine. I'm like, oh, cool. So I'm talking to some people, getting some ideas of what's going on, because I'm just here to learn, And at one point, there's a protest that comes from BLM up to the police line and starts antagonizing the Proud Boys. I don't know if they're all Proud Boys, but the group that I'm in. And, she's like, fuck this and fuck that. And, you're a bunch of fucking Nazis and all this shit. And, it's antagonizing the crowd. Well, there's a point where the cops actually open up and let her through into the side that we are. And it just causes an absolute riot. Like at this point, people are like pushing cops back and forth. They got to drag her back to her side. And I'm watching this probably, not more than 10 feet back, watching what's going on. I'm like, oh my God, it's all theater. Like they create these environments.
Why would they let this person in? That's clearly unhinged.
Yeah.
Clearly going to create chaos only.
Yeah. So there's this picture.
Is it their job to de-escalate?
Yeah, not in DC. Not in DC. So there's this picture of me the night before that I put on my Facebook where I'm doing kind of this, like thing in the back, and I say riots on my Facebook. Great image. And people had a this conspiracy theory that I'm part of BLM because you see BLM flags in the background. So there was this whole idea going around that I was a staged actor in January 6th in the Capitol because I was there with, BLM the night before.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You don't really seem like the type to be with BLM. I don't know. You're also a soulless ginger, so maybe that's why people thought you were associated.
I support protest in all forms, nonviolent protest. If you have something that you're upset about and you don't like the government, it's very important. I got to say, I'm not a Fed. My wife is telling me right now. I'm definitely not a Fed.
Remember to tell them you're not a Fed.
Yeah. So I support protests in all form, nonviolently. If you got a problem with the government, you have a right to go protest.
Yeah, it's our right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what they've done with January 6th is convinced half the country you are not allowed to protest anymore. And if you do, we will arrest you, come after you, lock you up, whether you were violent or not.
Mm-hmm. Inside or out. It doesn't even matter.
Mm-hmm.
Old, young, confused.
Unless your name is Ray Epps, and then you don't get arrested at all. You kind of get a pass.
I was looking through some of my footage with Nick Searcy, who's making another documentary about it. And he's like, wait, pause it right there. In one of my videos, you can see Ray Epps like patting two guys on the back. Like I was like, wow, it's like, where's Waldo for January 6th? It's very exciting. Like, there he is. Okay, cool. So you get kind of mixed up, just seeing the sights on the 5th. And on the 6th, my sort of schedule was like, I was there to cover it. So I was like, let's get there really early and get a really good seat, like in the front. We got there at, I think 7 or 8, and it was still there's no chance we're getting anywhere near the front. It was already so full with hundreds of thousands of people. I was like, I guess we're in the back now.
That line was like hours long to get through. There were security clearances and and you guys were lucky because you had porta potties. Yeah, on the outside of that, they had 2 bathrooms that were like a quarter mile away by the World War II by the Lincoln Memorial and everything. Yeah. That's all we had was 2 bathrooms. The line was like an hour long to get inside.
So some of you were peeing your pants, I guess.
Or the bushes, allegedly. Some people.
That's the word on the street. Okay, cool. So you kind of got a good seat for that. They had all the scheduled speakers. I remember Trump got out there like an hour later than he was planned to. It was so super cold. And then the next point was, hey, we're going to go to the Capitol at 1. It was on the graphic, on the image. Everyone knew, nothing Trump said made anybody act a particular type of way. So then, we march along down, I think, was it Pennsylvania?
I think it's Pennsylvania, yeah.
Yeah. Which is fun. Did you see the guy in the skeleton costume that said, I voted for Biden 9 times?
No.
That guy was great. He was my favorite costume.
I saw people in morph suits. I saw a couple of people dressed up in revolutionary outfits,
yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, there was like a piper out there at some point. There was a guy in a full ghillie suit. So that was, it's like
those are the ones where you like pretend to be a bush and you just like
yes, exactly,
sit still and jump scare people.
It was like a fair, like in the middle of the woods. Yeah,
it was like a Renaissance fair for patriots.
Yes, that's actually a great way to. Yes,
there were like food vendors. There were so many guys selling shirts, kind of mainstream shirts, but also ones that they sort of like slapped together. That's what I really like. My biggest regret from January 6th was not buying the hat. It was a $5 hat and it said Biden is not my president. And I was like, I wanted to buy it. And I was like, no, I'm sure this will blow over. I'm sure Trump will win. And then I'll look stupid with that hat. But now looking back, it's like, I should have just bought it.
I actually bought. Did you buy your hat at the rally?
I did. I bought one for myself and my mother-in-law. Like, this is now a piece of history. I think you could probably sell this on eBay for a pretty penny.
Do you mean this one?
Oh my God. Yes. Wow.
How
Mine
about
fits
that?
over my headphones. That'll look weird. It's like a weird head.
I bought this because it was cold. And
same.
I was having a good hair day. Like I blew it out. I spent 20 minutes working on it. And then it was very, very cold. So I bought the hat.
Mm-hmm.
But it was this
came in this version and then that version. And there was also one that was more red, like kind of inverse colors. It was fun. A little something for everybody.
Oh yeah.
Hold on. I'm gonna keep mine on for a second. Oh my God, brings back memories. Every once in a while I will wear this hat to like a Dunkin' Donuts or something.
I'm hesitant to wear it. I have 10 weeks left of probation. So
oh no.
Yeah. I poke the bear, but like I don't poke too hard.
Yeah. All right. It is actually really hot when you wear that indoors.
It is. So I guess so he had the speech and then we're all kind of wondering what's going on. It's like we're gonna march peacefully down to the Capitol, let our voices be heard because that's again our right to do. So you marched down the same road I was going, and there were so many people there that day. I've been to football games and stuff, and this was.
I think there was over 1 million. You can't tell me any different. Like, I don't buy that. There's just a few 100,000. Like, no, I've never been anywhere with this many people ever.
So I marched down there, walk, taking pictures and stuff. And when I get there, it's already under like siege, like people are, and I don't shy away from this. There were people that were fighting with cops. There were people that were shoving, pushing,
I didn't
throwing
see
shit.
any of that. I think because I think I was behind. I think we were like in the later group.
I was there like almost right away. So when we get up there, there's a group of people that are shouting at cops, right? And this is probably it's at the base of the building. So there's like stairs you have to go up to get to like the layer that gets you back up to the second set of stairs to get you to the front of the building. So this is like probably one staircase up. And there are people that are just shouting at the cops, you're betraying your country, do the right thing. We're here to protest. You shouldn't be here. Let us go protest. And at some point, and again, I don't know who started it, whether it was the cops or the protesters, but shit just popped off, But there was tear gas that came out of nowhere. There was a flashbang that came out and or a concussion grenade that just popped at my feet. And I'm just sitting here
Whoa.
watching what's going on. And I'm like, holy shit. Like, this is not what a protest is supposed to be. And
Yeah.
I don't know who was at the front of those lines. I don't know what they were doing, but I can tell you that the people that I was with, the people that we were watching, this was not our temperament. This is not what we were here to do. And most of us are pulling people back and say, hey, this is not us. Like, leave the cops alone. Stop hitting them.
Yeah, I heard that there was a group of folks where somebody they were able to get out of somebody's hand, like, I don't know, not some kind of, I don't know, like a wrench or like something, and then someone took it out of their hands and literally passed it up like to a cop. Like there were,
Yes,
I have so many people keep telling me so many examples of folks trying to de-escalate themselves.
absolutely.
That was not why
Absolutely.
people were there.
No, and the majority of people were not that. And I say this as well. There are the people that were escalating towards violence were outside. They weren't inside. Inside, people were like, you've seen the videos walking through velvet ropes, like putzing around, taking pictures with cops. That is what was happening inside. And most of the video that we have is outside. And that's what they use to show, it's the most violent day in history. It's 9/11 in Pearl Harbor, all over again. We don't have the video inside. And the video inside that we have is Jacob Tansley being escorted around by the police.
Yeah. Led around like a private tour.
Mm-hmm.
Could not have been more chill. Yeah. It's so crazy.
I'm watching, I'll keep going if you want. I'm watching this stuff go on, and I walk away from the violence because that's not what I'm here to do. It's not what I'm about. Not that guy. I believe in protests. And I ended up climbing the scaffolding that is by the front of the entrance to kind of get a bird's eye view to see what's going on. And you could not tell where it stopped or started. The crowd was so freaking massive. And at this point, like, you wonder, does this end? Like, how does this end? Because there are a lot of people here that understand what is actually going on, what is at stake, and what is the end goal of this? And it's kind of the quiet part we don't talk about. Like, is this the last stand? Is it over after this? And we go back home and then everything just,
Right.
we just take it a spoonful at a time. And
folks were like, oh, are we done having elections now? It's like, as our country just fundamentally changed where we're just not really part of the process anymore.
Yeah. I mean, those were the questions that we had when we showed up. Like, is this it? Is this our last stand? And then once it's over, there's nothing we can do ever again. So I don't mean to soapbox too much, but
I should have cued some dramatic music. Hold on, I'll find some. Let's see. Wow, I don't really have anything.
That's okay. That's all right. That's dramatic.
Feeding the ducks. Yeah, we were there for a good time. Some people were there to twerk.
They were. Some people were dancing. There was a choreographic dancing guy in a green suit. He had his own little loudspeaker around his chest, and he was like twerking around and stuff. It was great.
Guy. Yeah, Green Man.
It was great. Yeah, it was great. But when I came down from the scaffolding, people were just walking inside. The doors were wide open. And I thought, hey, the protest is going inside. I guess I'm here to protest. I'll go protest, So I walk through open doors.
So there's tons of people just walking in calmly. You don't have to
just
kick anything over.
Nope. Doors were wide open.
Stay at the museum. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I walk inside and we go through this narrow corridor and we end up going into the rotunda. Have you been to the Capitol before?
I've never been inside. I think because I had one field trip in I think it was middle school or high school, and I forgot my permission slip. It was literally me and Alexandra Rakowski were the only people who forgot our permission slips. So I really missed my only chance to go, I guess, until January 6th. So I've never been inside.
Well, listen, when I'm done, I'll take you on a tour.
Okay.
I know the building's layout now. I can show you all the cool spots. It'll be good.
The rotunda, that's like I've seen pictures though. It's like the round inside part with all the pictures on the wall where people were walking through the velvet ropes.
There's like this giant oculus above you, and it's got this it looks like the Sistine Chapel.
Ooh.
Like the money they spent on this is just, it's ridiculous. But that's the government. So we end up in there, and it gets really quiet. The crowd that was chanting "Stop the Steal," the crowd that was saying, "Whose house, our house," it just gets really quiet, and people are kind of reverent to the idea of where they are.
It looks like everybody was very respectful, not tipping anything over. I saw footage of people picking up trash, picking up poles that had tipped over.
These are not people who had any desire to harm anyone or harm anything in that building. These are people who love the country more than the people who work in that building.
For real. That's so sad. Yeah.
It is. But the majority of people there, and again, inside, people were calm. They were not violent people. And so I don't know where I am. There's no guide tours there that day or maps for me to figure out what I'm doing. So I kind of just walk around for a little bit, and I find this lectern that's sitting underneath the staircase, and it's not in a locked room. It's not anywhere. It's just sitting out in the open. And I'm like, oh God, that's going to be a great prop for a photo in the middle of the Capitol. So I pick it up, and I take it about 20 yards into the center of the room. I set it down. I give a short speech. I get my photo taken on the way, and then I leave it in the middle of the room. That's the.
So you pretended to give a speech at the lectern?
I actually gave a speech. It was a great speech. I think probably the best speech behind that lectern ever. If I had to.
Do you remember anything you said?
I did. I said, we have to call order to this house. First of all, no more traitors, no more treason, and we're going to vote on one budget item at a time.
Wow. I mean, I feel like you're qualified for the job. I mean,
I think that would solve everything.
Yeah. Wow.
So after the lectern,
who took your picture then?
It was actually
Getty. Phone somebody and said
it's Getty Images. So they were photographers all over that building. So from the moment that I entered to the moment that I left, there were professional press pass photographers.
Weird that there would be professional photographers there in advance.
Yeah, almost like they were told, "Hey, hang out," because
right? Because I don't know if there were any professional photographers like at any of the BLM protests or even the one that just happened in Florida. Like I don't. They're not catching anybody's good angles like we were that day.
No. Well, I think the Florida Capitol was just stormed, actually, where I stay over the abortion ban. And the photos that I've seen, the videos I've seen, it's very amateur.
Mm-hmm. They needed to call Getty Images. Maybe they wanted to they wanted to go cheap. Yeah.
Exactly. So there's a few pictures of me in the building that I posted. I took some selfies of myself. But those have been since deleted on Facebook. They nuked all of my socials within, I think it was 6 hours. So I lost like 10 years worth of family photos and videos that I had posted. They're all gone.
That's horrible. Wow.
Yeah, but it's I was only there for about 20 minutes inside the building, and the last little bit that I was there, I followed a group down towards the Senate doors. And, I'm on my phone texting my wife like, "Hey, I'll leave in a minute." She's like, "No, leave now." And I'm like, I got to get a few more pictures. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
And we get to the doors, and they're banging on. I'm like, let us in. I start chatting to a guy next to me, like, "Hey, what's going on?" He's like, "Oh, that's where they're meeting to count the votes." Then I'm like, what are they still doing here? Like, they should be gone. Have they not been evacuated yet? Because this has been going on for like 2 hours. And so is that one, I'm like, I'm going to get out of here. This is not where I should be. Like, if they're still here, I don't want to be a part of that whole thing. I literally thought we're just going to go protest and be like, "Hey, we don't like what you're doing." And
just physically there, not trying to stop anything. I didn't even know there was vote counting going on until like way later. I don't know. I wasn't the most clued in person though.
No, but that's kind of it though. They want to call us all insurrectionists and traitors to our country, and it's like, look, I remember it was not too long ago when the Kavanaugh trials were protested and they stormed the building and they were banging on the doors just like the people that were in front of me on January 6th. And you know what they got? They got fines and a slap on the wrist and said, hey, don't do that again, please and thank you.
Yeah, I don't think their photos were professionally taken and smeared for
No,
2
they weren't
straight
sent
years.
to a federal prison for 75 days. They weren't given a year of probation and a $5,000 fine. Like, they weren't given those things. They weren't.
Wow. Okay, so your wife is texting you, scram, and you're like, no, I need a few pictures.
Well, it's history. It's
Yeah.
history, you know? So I'm getting some pictures and I'm at the doors, talk to the guy, and he's like, oh, they're in. I'm like, I guess I'm going to leave now. And at that point, I think either tear gas or fire extinguisher was released on the people that would somewhere from the front. Some clouds start going up, and I'm like, oh God, I guess it's definitely time to go. So I find a cop that's kind of sitting off on the side. I'm like, hey, I'd like to go now. I don't know where I am. Where's the exit? And so he's like, oh, just walk down the hallway, take a right. We're exiting people, out of the building down there. And I was like, okay, thanks, man. Stay safe.
Imagine he gives you directions to Pelosi's office, like, oh yeah, just go that way.
Pelosi's daughter actually was in contact with my lawyers trying to get me to be a part of her documentary.
Nancy Pelosi's daughter is doing a
Yeah.
documentary about Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah. Do you know Nancy Pelosi's daughter was there that day?
No.
Filming for a documentary? Oh, yeah. Definitely look into this. So her daughter is a
How
filmmaker.
coincidental.
Yeah. So her daughter's a filmmaker, works for
Mhm.
HBO and does documentaries. And she was there that day with Nancy Pelosi filming things. And this woman's been in
Huh.
contact with my attorneys probably a dozen times trying to get me to come on her documentary. And I'm like, there's no fucking way I'm talking to you. Now, I did give a caveat. I said, I will come on your documentary if I can have a beer with your mom and a photo op.
Okay, that's fair. That's not.
I think
asking
it's
much.
super fair. I think it's
Yeah.
super fair. And Nancy declined to have a beer with me.
Unbelievable.
I know.
You're like,
Just
I'll
try-
even do the Nancy clap, you know.
Trying to get water under the bridge. We're all fine. I don't hate you.
Wow, what a coincidence that she would be there filming a documentary the same day that all happened.
Is it a coincidence?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. So I left the building, left out the doors, and started walking back to my hotel. And I think it was about 30 minutes. I had to walk back to Georgetown, so it was like an hour and a half walk back.
Oh,
And
wow. You
yeah,
walked for an hour and a half?
I like exercise. I do. So I don't mind
Okay.
walking. So I walk back there, and by time I'm thinking about 30 minutes in, there's this couple on bicycles that like stop in the middle of the road, like, oh my God, it's the guy. And I'm like, what does that mean?
The guy. You were the guy.
So I'm getting recognized like 30 minutes into the walk back to my hotel. And I get on my phone, which was dead and charging in my backpack. I turn it back on and I'm like, oh shit, this is not great. And
Oh man.
yeah, so I'd gone
Did you see
viral.
your did you see your where was the first place you saw your photo?
So in my jujitsu gym that I go to, there's a guy named Jennings, good friend of mine. He had actually was the first person that saw the photo online and shared it to my gym, which is Gracie Bradenton. You should come roll with me. Lots of fun.
Ooh.
He posted it to the Facebook group that is Gracie, Jiu-Jitsu. And he's like, oh my God, Adam's there. Holy shit. And there were all these comments and Susie's texting me, my wife, and it got out of control very quickly. My phone was blowing up so much I couldn't actually use it to make phone calls because it just
Wow.
kept coming in so quickly. I had to put it on airplane mode to actually use the phone.
Wow. That's really neat. So probably that first share was like a brag, like, oh, look, he's in. It's a funny picture. Look, that's our guy.
Well, I honestly, like, I thought, like, I just trespassed, like, the worst case scenario, like, they didn't want me to be there, you know? So, I probably get trespassed, can't go back again. What's the worst thing they're gonna do? Like, "You can't come back again, shame on you." It's like, "Okay, well, fine, like, worth it. I saw everything I wanted to see."
Hmm.
And then I got back to the hotel room, turned on the news, and I found out that someone had been shot and died, and I'm like, "Oh god, this is not gonna be that." And they started talking about, insurrection. It's going to happen all over the country. Multiple capitals will be under insurrection. And, none of that happened, by the way, until recently where, multiple capitals were under insurrection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's only bad if you have the wrong political opinion. Yeah.
It's capital D difference. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see the Tennessee lawmakers got their jobs back?
They did?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, what was it? The Tennessee 3?
The Tennessee 3, yeah. So they, stormed the Capitol. That's the vernacular we use. And they had a bullhorn and were shouting. And, it's insurrection. It's literally the same thing that, the majority of us did that were in the building. We walked around, we shouted, and then we left when we were asked to leave.
Right.
And all of them got their jobs back, and we went to prison.
Doesn't seem fair.
Doesn't seem fair.
God, in my next life, I'm going to stay a Democrat so I can get away with doing and saying anything.
Oh, you were a Democrat before?
Ugh, yes. In college, I had a brainwashed feminist phase.
What was the moment you woke up?
Oof. There were many moments. There were the first couple moments I think happened to me as a comedian. And then I started to get more like politically activated and cared more about free speech. But honestly, it was through jokes. Like I started making jokes that the rest of the basically like female stand-up comedy community didn't care for. And I slowly got like pushed out. Like one of the first spicy jokes I said, it was during the Me Too. I've talked about this so many times. So like those of you that have heard the story a million times, like just bear with me. It was during the Me Too era, and there were these female stand-up comedians who were like, "Oh my God, I was in a Me Too situation myself. I got raped in a basement, or oh, this and that happened to me." And I would hear these stories and I'd be like, "Oh, it just sounds like you make terrible decisions. It's not necessarily that these guys are predators. It just sounds like you're a hot fucking mess and your priorities are wrong." And so I tweeted out, like, "If you have time to get raped, you're not doing enough spots." And that got me some backlash because it was not of the believe all women opinion. I was like, "No, it just sounds like you have been making terrible decisions and you want to blame it on some dudes." It's like, how about don't put yourself in a situation where bad things can happen to you? Like, do as much as you can. I know these things happen, but like,
I think female comedians, they get pigeonholed into this things you're allowed to make jokes about. And so
Yeah.
Anthony Jeselnik is one of my favorite comedians because it's so dark. And you have to go into his shows knowing like you're going to be offended, but you're also going to laugh, you know? And I feel like female comedians, they're kind of relegated to this realm of like, if you're not talking about promiscuity and how many people you've had sex with and stuff, like you're not a valid comedian. Like I thought that joke was hilarious. It's actually the first time I've heard it. So that's actually hilarious.
I was very much that way because I think it's just a function of when you're in your 20s, and I was from New York in my 20s, went to a liberal arts college. You graduated, you don't have a lot of life experience. So you talk about what you know, which is dating and like being a woman. And it's like, you're like, all right, a lot of other people are making these types of jokes. Okay, that's all you know. And that's why I think like the older you are, the better your material is in terms of stand-up because you've just lived more life.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But anyway, so like I found over time, like the more jokes I would make that I found really funny, the more I got kind of pushed out of the sort of like liberal comedy community. And then I went from hosting a show at the Stonewall Inn every month to hosting a show on Compound Media. Same sense of humor, but I go from Stonewall Inn to Compound Media, which is Anthony Cumia's network. And they're like, "Oh, well, he's Republican, so you must also be Republican," because people don't like to, it's easy to just put everyone in a box. So
yeah, we don't mix pots anymore. We don't. I know. So I think Tim Pool had this. He was talking about we sent Ukrainian soldiers or to send American soldiers into Ukraine. This is the newest story that's out there. We now have American troops on the ground, right? And I made this comment, in his space where it said, oh, Biden's finally acting like an American president, and the joke is, that American presidents, they start wars and they start conflicts. And this is the most presidential thing that he could do,
funny.
Which is, that's the joke.
It's also a very smart joke. Yeah.
But you have these people that they want to take everything so seriously and they read it at face value and they get so angry at what's obviously a joke. And if you spent 2 minutes just thinking about what you're reading, click on the profile, look at the comments, go beyond the headline, do some critical thinking, like, oh, you got me, Oh, what was the tides one? God, this is hilarious. What is it? I posted this picture of the tides going in and out, and I said, "Climate change is real."
I retweeted that. That was so funny, and I had some people like, "Those are the tides, you idiot!" And I was like,
I know.
Oh, boy,
and they get so angry, but it really encapsulates the entire space that we are right now. There are people that can read something and get the joke and laugh, and there are people that believe it's real because they want to believe it's real. And there are people that are afraid that people believe it's real. So they have to comment, oh my God, stop this misinformation. It's the tides.
It's a lot of thinking and worrying and being offended for other people, which is so arrogant. It's like you're assuming that other people are not smart enough, don't know what's best for them, can't take care of themselves, can't make up their own minds, can't figure out what they find funny and what they don't find funny. We need people to do all that for them. And those people are called Democrats.
Well, Democrats don't actually believe anything that they say. They just do what they're told. I think the best way to argue with a liberal is argue their points. Ask them, listen, how did you get there? Like, why do you believe that is true?
Yeah, like with Elon the other day, he was like, to that reporter, just give me one example of a hate speech tweet you saw on your feed. And it was just great. The guy was squirming. And it's like, just hold people to account. Democrats are so used to speaking in broad strokes. Not like right wingers aren't either, but again, the best way to have a conversation or debate somebody is be like, oh, what do you mean by that? Instead of just accepting it and not asking for any kind of clarification or proof.
Now we've lost the ability to converse. And I think the biggest thing is like we don't like conflict anymore. We're comfortable having conversations online because we can block people. And it's like, I don't have to exist in your thought sphere. I can just block it and make my own echo chamber and not have to deal with any of the beliefs that there's cognitive dissonance in.
Yeah, I think muting is better. If you must.
I was at Beef O'Brady's today, and I wanted just like a 30-minute break in the day. I wanted to sit down and just hang out and just be by myself. And I'm on my phone because, we're all on our phones. And there's this guy that just wants to talk to me, and he won't leave me alone. And
do he recognize you?
Yeah, they know who I am up there. So it's always when I show up, and I got to find a new place, I guess. But when I show up, everyone wants to like buy me a drink or a sandwich and wants to have.
Great. Wow. Well, I wish I had that problem.
I can't accept it. I'm actually not allowed to accept it. I have a plea deal. Yeah, people can't buy me a fucking sandwich. Yeah, we should actually talk about that for a second. This is great. So part of my plea deal is I cannot.
Someone can't be like, thank you for your service and buy you a cup of coffee. Unbelievable.
Nothing. So part of my plea deal is I cannot profit for 5 years from the day I signed my plea deal off of anything January 6th, right? That's the face value.
Could not do an album called Live from January 6th.
No, I actually wrote a book. It's spectacular. I can't sell it. But
it's ready to go.
It is ready to go. It's a great book. I'm very excited about it. I actually can't even use my name to make money. So like even the lectern guy, podium guy, throw that away. I can't even use my name, Adam Johnson, to make money. Like my actual name and image. So the way this works is this, right?
What if you dyed your hair?
Or cut it off? Not going to happen.
Then you'll lose all your strength.
Exactly. Yeah. It's very, very sad. Well, so when I was growing my hair out, the wife was very upset. She's like, you look homeless. Please stop. Cut your hair. And then when it got to like this, she's like, if you cut your hair, I won't love you.
Whoa. What turned her around? JP Sears? Fellow
I think
redheads?
so. Yeah,
Okay.
JP's a great guy. I've met him a couple times.
You
He's
guys look
nice.
very. Some people in the chat think you're JP Sears, so I'm sorry.
They do. The
for
last time I was
people.
at his comedy show, people were stopping me in the waiting room, like, "Oh my God, JP, will you sign us?" I'm like, I'm not that guy. He's
You
much
should
cooler.
just sign it anyway. Just sign it, Podium Guy. Yeah.
Yeah. So the plea deal says even off my name. So the way that works is, let's say I've applied for jobs before. I try to go back to college. Let's say I put my name down, Adam Johnson application. They have to do a background check. That's how jobs work.
And the first thing that comes up is that picture. You're like, hey.
Yes, the first thing that's going to happen is the thing that I did, which is trespassing. They know who I am, right? Which violates the plea agreement to make money. Like they literally said, I can't use my name to make money. They could argue, and again, it's the government. So I know people are like, oh, that's a reach. They wouldn't do that. Wouldn't they though? Wouldn't they though? If I start making money, if I get a promotion, someone wants to hire me to do something, right?
Right. What if there's like a patriotic company that's like, yeah, would love to hire you, Adam.
Yep. So when I go talk to people, I pay for my own flights. I pay for my room, my car. When I was on Pool's show, he tried to give me a protein bar. I'm like, no, I won't even take your protein bar because I don't want the government to come back and say you owe us $3 for that protein bar.
What?
It is that twisted and wicked. This is a real thing. Like that's my actual plea deal.
Just don't want you to make money. They want you to
No.
be impoverished.
No, but listen, here's the thing. I don't care about the money. It has nothing to do about that. If you think that the money is the reason I'm doing this, you don't understand. I'm raising 5 kids and I'm worried about 30 years from now what their lives look like with their kids. And I'm not going to shut up. I'm going to keep talking. I'm never going to be quiet. It's not going to happen. Like either Epstein me now, get it over with, or I'm going to keep doing this. It's that.
Yeah,
So
you're Podium Guy.
that lectern you have behind you, that little podium.
My most prized possession. This is now going to be a family heirloom. I now want to have kids just so I have someone to pass this on to. This is the most amazing thing anyone has ever made for me. This is like the craftsmanship on this. You guys, I wish you could all see and feel this, but like, I think because Andy Masterson, the guy who sent me my Hunter Biden action figure, he also sent me a Jen Psaki action figure with a podium. And then Adam hit me up on Instagram. You know that podium is not actually. What did you say? It's not accurate or something.
I said,
and
it's
I thought
not...
you were a random. It took me an embarrassingly long time to figure out like you were you. I just thought you were like a random fan on Instagram. And I was like, oh, okay. And then you sent me this.
I was nervous up front to even talk because of what they did to us. It's time they literally tried to destroy us. And I realized at the end of it, the win that they have is if I shut the fuck up. Like that's their win, right? Yeah. They sent me to prison. They put me on probation. They've kept me in Florida for 2.5 years. They fined us. They told me I can't make money. And I don't care. Like, I don't care. Like, what am I supposed to do? Walk away from this and just let them continue on their path and ruin my kids' future? I won't abide. I will not sit by and be quiet. Yeah. So part of what I'm doing now is I'm making those lecterns for people who have earned them. So you actually have the first one. And the reason you have the first...
I didn't know. I just turned this upside down today, and it actually says number 1/27, 2022, I think. 2023. Right, that's when you sent this to me. And then you signed it. Which that is your name.
That is my name. That is my name.
I can't believe I got the first one. I don't feel worthy. I feel like you should have sent it to Jacob Chansley.
No, you were. So Chansley's actually getting one. I'm in contact with some people. He will be getting one. The way the halfway houses work is it's going to be difficult for him to get stuff. But we're in communication with some of his people. He will be absolutely getting one.
Oh, you should have kept the number one. You're the guy.
I actually built a full size one. It's sitting in my living room.
Okay, good. Okay. You can reenact it every day.
Well, they charged me a felony because they said the lectern was $1,000, over $1,000. And I was like, There's no way. Well, again, so federal law, and this is something I'm passionate about. The average person breaks 3 federal laws a day. There's a book on this. Yes.
Jaywalking.
Look, I'm
Something
telling
with
you,
stamps.
if they want you in prison, they can put you in prison. It just, how much are you pissing them off? That's literally
Wow.
how federal law works. The people that I
Yeah,
met in
look at Trump.
prison, oh yeah, oh God. I've not nearly had enough whiskey for that conversation.
Look at your mug. Oh my, can I buy that mug or maybe get it for free and then
I'll send you one.
send you?
I'll send you one.
Okay. Okay.
But the people that I met in prison shouldn't be there. Most of these people that I met, it's nonviolent misdemeanors. And these people are being ripped from their families. There was a moment I did fine in prison. When I showed up, everyone knew who I was. So they brought me like grocery bags full of like ramen noodles and toothpaste and shampoo. Even the guards were nice. So it was not a horrible experience. I don't want to go back. I'd much rather be home. But
what was it like between, sorry to cut you off, but like, what was it like between you're getting recognized a half hour after you leave to the shit is hitting the fan and the FBI is coming after you?
So I make it back to the hotel and I see someone's being shot. So I call a bunch of, I know a bunch of Leos. So I call them like, hey, is this going to be a big deal? And like, yeah, it's going to be a big deal. So definitely, like just, get home to your family, whatever else. And so I had a flight that was supposed to leave on Friday and I rented a car first thing in the morning, drove through the day back to my wife and kids because I knew like I may not have time to see them.
Or that you would not be able to fly. So you just didn't take your flight or you?
No. So when I talked to the Leos, they're like, this is going to
Leo.
come law enforcement officer.
Oh, I thought you meant, I'm like, I didn't know you were into astrology. Like, what is
I'm a Sagittarius. You're a Scorpio, right?
Yes. Wow, you're good.
Yeah. So I got a car first thing in the morning and, I shave my beard. I'm wearing like a cap. My hair is back. I'm like, I got to get out of this fucking city. So I drive all the way back home. It's like a 16.5-hour drive. On the way there, Jennings puts me in contact with a couple of federal attorneys, David Eckhart and Dave Bigney. And they are like, look, dude, they're going to come after you really, really, really hard. You don't get a photo like that and walk away.
But it's epic.
I mean, I kind of like the photo.
Like, I can't wait for the January 6th. Like, somebody made a joke, like, there'd be a January 6th, like, Lego set, which I would love to have. But I think there should be, like, January 6th action figures. You would definitely be in there.
There's a meme of January 6th Lego pieces of the actual Lego people. Yeah.
So funny.
Well, I drove home, talked to the attorneys, and they're like, you got to get us hired because they're coming after you. I got home Thursday at like Friday, 1:00 in the morning. And by Friday at 6:00 at night, the charges had come and I was going to Pinellas County to be arrested for the weekend. And we're like, look, like if you put me in for the weekend, yeah.
There you are.
That's the one.
Oh, that's so cute. I love it.
My kids love the memes so much. Oh,
yeah,
so much.
they probably were they famous at school?
Yes and no. With the students, absolutely. They're like, oh my God, your dad's a meme, because kids, they don't know politics.
They just know memes.
There were a couple of teachers, though, that were telling like classrooms full of kids, their dad's a terrorist, don't associate with them. Like just miserable fucking people,
Yeah, I had that too. I had people reaching out to my Facebook friends to have them unfriend me. Like people I've never heard of reaching out to my Facebook friends. I'm like, who donated to their classroom?
We donated to their classrooms. It's like, listen, I was the guy that brought you like 25 composition books, but now I'm a terrorist.
There's a Johnson wing in this classroom. Wow. That's disgusting.
But they sent me Pinellas. I was in isolation for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then Monday, I got released to the courthouse, and they decided that
what can you bring with you when you're going into isolation? Can you bring like
nothing,
a book?
Nothing. like not a thing. So I left like everything at the house, the wedding band, watches, just everything, because I
Aw.
don't know what they're gonna take, you
Yeah.
know. So I
You're not
show
gonna try
up.
to hide anything in your butt. Yeah, you're just playing
No,
it safe.
oh, so that's actually a great story. So, so
This watch.
yeah, this watch, it was in my ass. Yeah.
It's better than PC, and now it was in you and me.
So, not only do they do an eye check when you like bend over and spread like an actual human, like you have to look, directly down your chocolate pocket. You also have to walk through an X-ray machine to make sure nothing is actually in there, which makes the first one, I guess, a fetish. I don't know why.
Right. Why do they need to look into the eye of the storm if you're going to go through an X-ray machine?
Exactly. One seems superfluous. Like you shouldn't have to do that.
Yeah, they want to look in there.
They do. I think it's meant to like humiliate you, and it's like, look,
Yeah.
I got 5 kids. I'm in my late 30s. There's nothing you can do.
If that ever happened to me, I'd be like, haha, nice try. It's already all over the internet and OnlyFans.
I typically charge for that. Yeah.
It's called extra content, buddy.
Yeah. So I get to the trial on Monday morning, and they decide I'm not a terroristic threat, but they give me an ankle monitor. They say I can't leave the Middle District of Florida. There's a $25,000 bond to get me out. And I just sit in my house wondering, like, holy shit, is this the end of my life? Because people are saying I'm going to prison for 20 years.
Holy shit. Who was saying that?
Oh, have you been on the internet?
Oh, just everyone.
Yeah, like literally everyone. You could not turn on the news or find a comment section that was not, this guy is human garbage, we should lock him up for 25 years. And it's like, bro, I was in a building for 20 minutes and I left.
Wow.
So it took
And
about
you had the best picture of the day.
it's a pretty good picture. I like it. I ended up my attorneys told me like very, very early in the beginning, like, look, you've got to go talk to the feds. You've got to go talk to the AUSA, which is the Assistant United States Attorney's Office, which is like the Department of Justice. If you go talk to them, they will take care of you. It'll be, they'll make sure you get a good plea deal and everything will be fine. And my first thought is, why the hell do I want to talk to the FBI? That sounds like a horrible idea. But they're like, well, listen, if you have nothing to hide, just go talk to them. So I ended up doing, it was 2 proffers, which is where they sit you down and they ask you a handful of questions.
Is there a swinging light bulb?
There's not. It was actually via Zoom because COVID was still killing billions of people.
Oh yeah, it was the most deadly thing
So
ever.
deadly. Yeah. So I sat down 2 times of about 14 hours total talking to them, and they took my phone from me. They went through all of my pictures, all of my memes.
Did they see any nudes?
I thought about downloading a bunch of like BBC on my phone, like ahead of time, just like 100 photos, so a Fed would have to look at them. But I was like, no, I don't think I should.
BGC, big ginger cock.
Is that a thing?
I don't know. I'm trying to start it.
We'll start a trend. It'll be perfect. We just got to find one.
That's why I have you here tonight, actually. I don't know.
That's fantastic. But at the end of the proffers, they're supposed to give you this thing. It's called a special K, I think it's special K1 provision, where if you've been like useful to the government, they'll reduce your sentencing, give you like, special credit. I didn't get that because I didn't know shit, because I'm literally no one. I'm a stay-at-home dad raising 5 kids who smokes meats and does jujitsu and am a carpenter. That's literally, I have a very boring life, But I'm actually glad they didn't give me that, because in prison, if you have that on your plea deal, they are not very nice to you.
Who's not nice to you?
Oh, the prisoners. So they have a thing.
How did they know what everyone is in for? Like are they looking at your file?
Yeah, it's actually called a paper party is what it's called. So when a new guy comes in, they have a thing called a paper party, and they're not supposed to do this. And if they catch you doing this, they take you to the SHU, which is the special housing unit, which is isolation. It's called the Shoe.
Is that where the old woman lives?
In the Shoe, exactly. So they have paper parties, and if they find that special K provision, you don't got a seat in the TV room. Your commissary, you buy it, it's no longer yours. Good luck taking a shower. Oh yeah, you are not taken care of when you go in. Good
luck. The other prisoners know that you basically helped out the feds.
Yes.
So then they're like, F this guy. They don't trust you, right? Because they're like, well, yeah.
No, because in prison, I mean, everyone's got a cell phone. Like everyone's like, there's shit going on in prison.
In their butt?
No.
In the walls?
No. I couldn't tell you.
I watch too much TV.
I'm actually blind in both eyes and deaf in both ears. I don't know where they put them. Yeah. But everyone's
in my butt. Yeah.
No, people were bringing in like wing house wings, and they had drones. No, it's actually, prison's nuts. If you end up going to that place, it's actually a crazy, crazy place. Not a lot of fun. I don't recommend going.
I don't think I would be great in prison. I mean, I can French braid and I can tell jokes. That's probably about it. I can stand on my hands. I can and drink water at the same time. I'm just thinking of all the talents. I can twirl a baton.
Cerebus 09, actually, that's a great point. Paper party is usually to find kid abusers.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
Yes. So where I was at, it was actually a camp, and this camp was actually a former female prisoners camp, but it got shut down because the guards kept sleeping with the inmates.
That's awesome. That's what I would try to do if I were ever in prison. I would just try to like charisma my way out of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the paper party to find the pedos, they call them pedos. You can't go to a camp if you're a pedo. They keep you in low, but in low prison, it's like 80% pedos. They don't spread them out across all prisons. They congregate them in a handful of them because they're not safe, being spread out. Like you're going to find the wrong end of a shiv.
Wow.
But the place that I was at, the low was like 80% pedos. And they have like their own gang. You don't want chomos. Yeah, chomos. This guy's got it. Sober Sabre.
Chomos.
Yeah. Chomos, yeah.
I'm familiar with cholos, but not chomos.
Yeah, chomos, child molesters, yeah.
Oh, wow. Sober. Have you been to prison?
I have questions.
Interesting. But that's cool that people in prison at least like all share the same values. You know what I mean? Like they all can come together against the chomos.
Oh, absolutely. And it's actually a very it's like, I call it an all men's retreat. I don't call it prison. It's like an all men's retreat. The camp, I don't want to be in the low or the medium or the high, but the camp.
What is low, medium, and high? Like how dangerous you are, or how bad your thing is?
There is like 5 different metrics they measure you on to figure out where you're going to be placed, right? So it's how many times you've been arrested, are you violent, what's the nature of your crime, you have gang ties, and do you have a history of leaving prison, like escaping. So they have all these metrics, and based on how you are on that scale, they tell you where you go or don't go. So I went to camp because it's a misdemeanor trespassing charge. And when I got there, the prisoners were like, what the fuck are you doing here?
Did you get recognized in prison?
Yeah. So so I went with my buddy, my coach for my jiu-jitsu gym, Sonny, actually drove me up there, and he took me to Beef O'Brady's. It's my favorite restaurant. I know I'm like white trash or whatever. I don't care. Went to Beef O'Brady's. I had a bunch of drinks. I had a burger and some broccoli and rice and fries, and got nice and full and drunk, and he dropped me off there. And when we get there, Sonny's a guy that has tattoos all over his arms and his neck. And the guards walk up to him and ask him like, all right, you ready to go? He's like, I'm not going to prison. This guy is. They try to actually take him instead because he fit the part.
Wow.
And then when I got in for processing, they looked up my charge like, holy shit, you're that guy. We heard you were coming.
You're like, everyone says that. I'm the guy.
So all the COs knew who I were. They didn't mess with me too much They let me alone. They didn't want to, cause too much drama. And I told them, I definitely said things like, I know sitting Congress people and, you don't want to mess with me. So let me do what I want to do. And it worked out really well.
They were like, well, we have something heavy, help you with the heavy lifting. Like, we know you can carry things. How much did it weigh, the actual podium? Like, was it
60, 70 pounds?
Damn. Okay.
60, 70 pounds?
I think there should be a January 6th workout where it could be like the new CrossFit. And you're just like doing squats at the podium, like jumping through windows.
3 years from now, we should definitely do that. We should definitely have a workout
When you
video.
can make money off your name again, let's collab, please, on this.
Okay. Absolutely. But when I got there were guys, they put me in quarantine because I wasn't vaccinated. So they put you in quarantine, and there were guys coming downstairs and they were like, oh, you're that guy, right? And in prison is the most racist place you will ever go to. Like, if you have any idea of what it is out here, you have no idea what is in there. They have things called cars, which are like, short for cartels. Like, the whites hang out with the whites. There's like a white TV room,
That's
black
what
TV
I've heard.
room.
Yeah, it's very segregated.
It is very much like that. So I think within an hour or two of being there, a guy came down, from the car and gave me 2 trash bags full of I had shoes and shampoo and ramen noodles and tuna fish and all the stuff you can get, from commissary. So they took care of me right away. They're like, dude, come up. You got to come up to our unit. We want you to be a part of us.
A white representative came down. He was like the welcoming committee for you. And he was like, I can tell you're going to need extra shampoo. We got you, boo. Come here.
And my first thought is like, what is this going to cost me?
All your holes.
Exactly. So I was like, oh, that's very nice of you. But I think this guy over here really wants it. He really seems like he could definitely make use of that. Like, oh, it's not like that here. We don't do that. There was one incident a couple months ago, but we don't really do that here.
Meaning butt stuff?
Yeah. There was a, God, it's an awful story. So apparently before I got there was, it happens, like it does happen there, but you are not, they don't like you when you do it. Like, especially in the camp, there was an older guy, can't remember his name, won't even say it, but probably 2-3 o'clock in the morning, he was caught. God, what's the nicest way to say this? The less crude way to say this.
Or
let's just say he was trying to paint someone from above while they were sleeping with some type of fluid.
Okay, a front fluid or a back fluid?
Oh, a front fluid.
Okay.
So this dude's
all right.
Younger dude is sleeping in his bunk, sound asleep.
Whitewashing.
Whitewashing. Yeah, it's a great. Yeah. So whitewashing. So oh, this guy's got it. So this guy's sleeping. This older dude decides, like, I'm gonna do this thing. Well, he gets caught doing this thing, and the dude ends up getting bullied for the entire time I'm there. The entire time. Like, they won't let him shower. They're throwing bags of ramen at him. Like, it is very, very, very much frowned upon.
I bet. Yeah, don't be like that.
No one likes
it's already bad. You're already in prison. You can't. You don't want to add cum on your face.
Exactly. But there's also a lot of drugs in prison too. Holy shit. Like, everyone's on meth or cocaine, and they love dominoes. Good Lord. They play till 4 o'clock in the morning.
Wow. And the guards can probably observe these people are on drugs that they're not supposed to be able to get in here, but yet.
So
care.
Yes. Yeah, they don't care. So there's this thing called Unicore in prison, and Unicore is where they send you to work to make furniture for all of the federal offices.
That could be you.
It's a sweatshop. Actually, I didn't work in prison. I refused to. I'm like, you can't make me work.
Really?
Yeah. I'm like, no, I'm
not
doing
you're
it.
A sick carpenter?
Yeah. Nope. I'm not working for the federal government. Like, you can go fuck yourself.
Wow.
Not gonna happen. Yeah.
I didn't even know you could opt out of that. I always have the envision everyone has to make a license plate.
Oh, I did. I did. I just
Okay.
wouldn't do it. Wouldn't do it because why? What are you gonna do? Like I'm leaving in literally 10 weeks.
Okay.
I can deal with whatever you're gonna do for 10 weeks. I'm not. No, fuck yourself.
Wow, I
So
didn't know you could opt out. That's pretty
yeah.
neat.
So I was the only one that did. I spent most of my time in my bunk reading books. I think I read like 37 books or some nonsense.
Wow. That's probably the one really good thing about prison is you can get a lot of reading done and no distractions.
It's kind of actually a vacation. They did my laundry for me. They cooked for
Wow.
me. Yeah.
Did they fold it and everything?
Oh yeah. So well, they didn't fold it. I mean, you put it in a laundry bag, you toss it over the railing, and then it comes back, and they clean it for you. But at my house, I do all of the laundry, all of the cooking, all of the cleaning, and I just kind of got to sit up and read books, and they did my laundry. And when it was breakfast, lunch, and dinner time, I went and ate.
Wow. Sounds lovely.
Well, I missed my family, so there's that.
Yeah, that's bad. So you were there for 10 weeks, you said?
71 days.
71 days. How many weeks is that? Quick, who's good at math? 10
Like
weeks. Wait.
about less than 10 weeks. Like
Yeah.
9 weeks, yeah.
Whoa. Did you get in sick shape? Did you do a lot of push-ups?
I actually lost 25 pounds.
Whoa.
Yeah, I actually lost 25 pounds. The food there is not great. You're on a calorie restricted diet, and it's not just that they don't feed you, it's that a lot of the people steal the food from the kitchen and they set up kitchen shop that you have to pay for if you want to eat.
What? So then you
So
don't get any food from the regular kitchen, you just get it from the
yeah, so we're supposed to get like a it's actually federally regulated. So there's actually a calendar that the federal government puts out, and every federal prison eats the same thing day by day by day by day. Makes it very easy and streamlined. And you're
Well, if you're on
supposed to get
keto.
there's no protein in prison. Everything is actually carbs.
I mean, there
90
is, just not the kind you like.
Not the kind you want. No.
No.
I actually survived on commissary, bag salmon and tuna. That was like 90% of my diet.
Okay, that's not bad.
No, but there's great cooks in prison too. Do you know what a stinger is?
A stinger? No, is it a drink?
No, a stinger. So they will break apart an iron and just take the heating part of the iron, just the iron plate, and they will drop it in a trash can full of water to boil it.
Wow, that's
And
so creative.
It's so creative. And they will bag up like rice and tuna and like seasonings you can steal from the kitchen, and they'll make like gourmet meals on Friday and Saturday. Like it's actually like community events, and you have to like buy food with stamps because
Okay.
that's how they purchase things. And
So you get your good meals through basically like other inmates who
Yes.
have become chefs.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
Wow. Okay, so it's like eating out every day versus eating from home, you know.
And again, the food wasn't that great, but compared to what they fed us, which is apples that were meant for horses, like not human grade food, is what they were feeding prisoners. Yeah, like not
mealy.
Yeah, like not great stuff. The milk is always expired. You know, it's not great stuff.
Wow. Any like
But I lost.
pudding?
Yeah, I tried to put on a bunch of weight before I go in because I knew I was probably not going to eat the best. But I lost 25 pounds in, and then when I came out, my wife was like, "Oh my God, what did they do to you?" Because I just skin and bones,
Did you try to like? There's so many jokes you could do. Like come home first day, your wife, you're like, "Honey, look what they did to my butthole," and then you just kidding.
I had a guy that did hair. They were convinced to put cornrows in. So when I came out,
You had cornrows? That's amazing.
No, I didn't go through with it, but
Okay.
I was gonna put cornrows in for the wife. So when I came out, I was like a top button, split down the
Like
center.
polo. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's really funny. So this guy, Cerebus, I think he used to work as a guard. The best food gets picked off by the kitchen crew for the gangs.
That's
Wow.
absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Yep.
That's so fascinating.
Yeah. But and I'm not trying to glorify going to prison. It's not that. But
No.
again,
course
if I'm not going to sit here and cry about going. Like, I met some incredible people. I heard some incredible stories, and I got to learn things that people will never know that happens. There was a guy there in prison. This is probably one of the craziest stories I heard. Um, this is a guy that went in that had 2 daughters, and his wife was pregnant when he got arrested. His last daughter was born while he was in prison. He's a finance guy, and he's got an office, and he loves taxidermy. So, like, like lion's heads and things, and stuff. And he decides what he wants to do is buy some elephant tusks, right? Which are legal to own in the state that he lived in. So he goes online looking for these elephant tusks. He ends up finding a pair of elephant tusks in Texas, right? And he's like, oh, perfect, I'll buy them. Goes to buy them. The guy's like, I can't ship them. Do you mind coming picking them up? And the guy's like, well, sure, fine, sounds good. We'll make a family vacation out to Texas. Loads up his family in his minivan, drives out to Texas, has dinner with this guy, has a great time, loads up the tusks, takes him back home. Turns out this guy's a CI for the feds. It is illegal to transport elephant tusks across state lines,
What?
but not
You tricked
illegal.
him.
But not illegal to own them in the state of Texas or Florida. So this guy
Wow.
got 18 months in prison for transporting bones.
Why is that illegal?
That's a great question, because they always say they make these laws, because we got to stop the bad people. And it's like, well, you're stopping a lot of people who don't even know it's against the law. Like,
Yeah.
most people don't know they're breaking the law. They don't. And they have this RICO Act where they can come after you for literally anything, whether you knew you were breaking the law or not.
Jeez. That's really scary. Wow. So bones. So was that of all the people you met in prison, the most ridiculous? I mean, you're probably in there for the most ridiculous reason, but anybody else on like a really light, like nothing charge?
There was, I guess I can tell this story. My cellie, I can't tell the story. It's getting out soon, so I'm not gonna. He's so close. He's so close to being done. But I swear to God, I will share that story with you at some point. But he got fucked. I don't know how to say that. This is probably one of the most genuine human beings I've ever met. This guy spent his time building bags full of shampoo, conditioner, toothbrushes for the people who were coming in who had nothing and didn't have commissary. Like, this guy is this guy is an absolute gem, and I cannot speak highly enough about him.
That's nice that you had a good roommate.
Yeah, the guy was awesome. When I first got bunked with him, he was pissed because he had a room all to himself. And he comes in, and this guy's like 6'4". He's this guy's a world-class bodybuilder, probably like 280 pounds. And he's like, the fuck you doing in my room? And I'm like, look, I'm going to be gone in like 7 weeks. You'll get your shit back. I literally just read in my bunk, And it took about an hour and a half. And he's like, oh, I guess you're fine. That's cool. But we actually, we formed a really good friendship. I still write him. Once a week, I send books into the prison because they took all the books away from the prisoners during COVID. So I send books twice a month to them because they have nothing to do. Wow.
That's really nice of you. I used to have a prison pen pal, and then I stopped writing to him years ago because my therapist was like, well, a lot of these men in prison, as soon as they come out, the first person they off is their pen pal. So I was like, uh-oh, I better stop talking to Jamal. He was starting to annoy me anyway. He started asking me how I got into comedy, and I was like, I think we're done.
So what are your plans for the future? I know you're getting married, right?
Yeah. Planning that. Gosh, yeah, probably another album at some point. More touring around the country. We might do more of these like content houses where we rent out a huge house and then we do a 48-hour live stream and film the whole thing. And it's just basically like an excuse for me to get together with all my favorite people and just like have a hilarious time. Yeah, I want to make sure that we like went over, okay, so you're in prison for 10 weeks. God, like what was the scariest I just feel like a lot of this is so scary, and it just feels like you had your wits about you. You knew. I mean, I feel like most people don't know what to say or not to say, or what's the best course of action when this kind of thing happens to them.
I think the best thing you can do is, and it's hard. A lot of these people for January 6th, they don't have good representation. They're giving court-appointed attorneys out of DC, and if you think you're going to get adequate representation out of DC or unbiased representation, it's not going to happen. So you look at Jacob Chancey's lawyer, and it's hard. I don't want to be sued for libel or defamation,
Okay.
but he did say, no, I can actually quote him. He did say, I'm representing short bus people. So
Okay.
he's literally calling his clients retarded, like as he's defending him. And I'm sitting here like, oh my God, this guy's going to be buried, you know? And then you have the guy, his name is Richard Barnett. He is the guy with his feet on top of the desk in Nancy Pelosi's office, right?
Oh, okay.
Yep. And he could have taken a plea deal and probably served an additional, I don't know, 6 months in prison. And I don't know whether it's his attorney that told him we can fight this in court, or whether he was just very adamant saying, no, I want to fight this. But a good attorney would have told them, listen, don't go to DC in front of a jury of DC people because they will bury you. This man is now probably going to go to prison for an additional 2 years. So the best advice I can give you, and this is as honest I can be, if you're going to protest somewhere in a liberal city, don't get arrested, because they will bury you. Because it is not about whether you are guilty or not, or what you did is wrong or right. It is not a fair justice system. If you are in a place where they don't like your politics, they will bury you. And the only reason that I hired my attorneys and took a plea deal is because I knew that there's no way I'm going to DC and standing in front of 12 DC people and ask them, hey, can I get a pass? It's the only reason why I got 75 days instead of 3.5 years.
Wow.
And you're not, when you're given a plea deal, it's not, it's coercion. It is coercion, right? You get a plea deal and it's like, listen, if you don't accept these terms, right? If you don't accept these terms, we will take you and we will add additional terms and we will bury you for multiple years. So why don't you just tell the world you're guilty, you accept what you did was wrong, and we'll let you go to prison for a shorter amount of time. That is what plea deals out of the federal system looks like. Right.
And the average person doesn't know any better and is scared and knows nothing about the law. And you feel like, oh, they got you by the balls.
Yeah. But I'm almost free. I got less than 10 weeks left and I can travel and say whatever the fuck I want. I'm so excited.
I mean, you're doing pretty good for like not saying whatever the fuck you want. I feel like I've got a lot of
there's more.
stories. Okay,
there's
good.
more.
I'll see you in 10 weeks. We'll have to reunite. We got some questions from the chat. Matthew Hammond, what wood makes the best podium?
Oh, that's a great question. So I would say oak or cherry.
Okay. Where do you get your wood from? Who's your wood guy?
Who's my wood guy? Wow. So wood's actually very expensive as of the last couple of years. I buy from a local place here. It is called Pro Builders First Choice.
Ooh, shout out to them. Leo Fisher, thanks for the super chat. Hello, I'm Drunk Daniel from Twit. Stick that podium up someone's posterior.
Okay.
I thought it was an inside joke. I was like, I don't really. Not all these make sense. Okay. Ryan Osiris. I don't know who's cuter. I love those redheads. Man. Oh, you don't have to choose. You can have us both, Rhinoceros.
Yeah, for a $50 super chat. Get back when you're ready.
Yeah, let's come back in 10 weeks. Mr. Blurred Out, Jan 6, and what happened to Adam is why I'm ending my military career this year. As someone who lived under total control, Americans won't want that smoke. Wow.
Thank you for your service, dude. I really appreciate it. I'm sorry what's happening in the military.
I was going to say that. Thank you for your service.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's crazy that the military just seems like it's become such a joke.
Record low recruitment rates right now. They can't get people to join.
They had to increase the BMI of the recruits.
Yeah, I think if they just had a box like, "Do you eat hot Cheetos? Yes or no?"
Mhm.
And if it's like a yes, you shouldn't be able to join.
Yeah,
That should just be that's the only metric they should be using.
definitely. Punish nickname lectern later just got here, and I am loving it. A real patriot. Oh, thank you.
Thanks, Guy.
I think he means me.
Oh,
I'm just kidding.
definitely you. Definitely
David,
you.
oh, another Carpenter, David Carpenter. Your prison experience sounds better than my buddy's who's 7 years in, constantly extorted, bothered, threatened, and begs for money from his parents and friends. Whoa.
That's absolutely awful. That does happen.
That is so scary. And you can write, oh, right. You can still write letters to your friends in prison.
Yeah, so they give you computer and email, right? But they take those away, the phones and everything, just because they feel like it. You can still write handwritten letters. They can't take those away. But the amount of stamps you're allowed to buy, even envelopes, sometimes they'll say we're out of envelopes. So I guess you can't mail things this week.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
So
it's messed
they can
up.
just do whatever they want. Yeah.
Mhm.
And you're like, haha, I have an envelope in my ass.
Scented
Yay.
envelopes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Viking, Chrissy, what happened to your 600th episode? It's not on YouTube anymore. I think I had a some kind of a copyright claim from I think Viacom or something. We're working on it. We're working on it, Viking. You can still watch it on Rockfin for sure, and it might be copied to Rumble by now. So check there, but it's definitely on Rockfin. The show. Yeah, that was fun. That was last night. Wow, I feel like you're in amazingly good spirits for what happened to you. Like you have such great energy. You're so positive. I feel like you just have a grateful mindset. And I just can't believe you. What did your kids and wife think of everything that's happened to you?
It was difficult up front. I'm not gonna lie. There was definitely, strain in the marriage, not as far as, how
She
we
wouldn't
felt it.
go visit you?
I actually told her not to. And
Oh.
well, there was a reason for that. It was still during, COVID when it was, killing billions of people. They had limited access for visitation. There was like a short list of it. And I was there for such a short time that I didn't want to take someone else's space who's been waiting literally a year to
Oh.
see their family. So
Wow.
I didn't want to take their time to see their family because I'll see mine in God, 9 or 10 weeks. So I was like, listen, I'm not going to take their spot. Just let them see their family. There was actually, God, there's a guy there that worked commissary, super nice guy, and his family drove in from Chicago because his family lives in Chicago. They do a thing called diesel. I don't mean to talk so long. They do a thing
You're
called
doing
diesel.
great.
They do a thing called diesel therapy, where if you're being a problem in prison, they'll put you on a bus and just bus you around the U.S. until you learn to shut the fuck up, and you'll end up in whatever
Who's putting you on a bus?
the prison system, federal prison system.
Do
So
you get bathroom breaks? Do you have to go out and like sightsee?
nope. So
No.
they will bus you to the next federal prison. They will put you in solitary for the night, where you can take a shower and take a shit. They'll put you back on a bus and they'll bus you to the next federal prison thing, and they'll do this for months.
It's like a tour. It's a
They'll
prison
do
tour.
this for months to make you shut the fuck up and learn your lesson. Like you're not going to speak up. You're not going to tell your family what's going on the outside. This is what they do in the federal prison system.
Wow.
So they do this thing called diesel therapy, and it's
diesel therapy. Wow.
absolutely awful for these people. But this guy had family come in from Chicago to see him, and because the COs that week were feeling particularly menstruative, they smelled some smoke in the building that we live in, the unit we live in, and they denied everyone visitation, shut off our phones for a week, shut off the emails for a week. And this guy who's not seen his family in a year, who traveled down from Chicago, I'm talking about his wife and his kids, they denied them visitation
Whoa.
because someone was smoking cigarettes in the bathroom.
Wow.
And look, these people are humans. And if the idea is to rehabilitate them, maybe at some point start treating them like humans. Maybe at some point give them an idea that at some point we're going to accept you when you come out here. But good luck getting a job with a federal crime. It's not going to happen.
Not even at Trader Joe's. I feel like they hire anybody.
I applied everywhere. So this is the litmus test, right? On probation, they make you get a job. They say you have to go to work 40 hours a week. And even though I got 5 kids and I'm literally here taking care of them, I'm a very busy person. They're like, you still got to get a job. And I was like, well, what can I do instead? Like, we can go to college. And I was like, oh, perfect. I'll go back to college. I've got like 3 classes left to take to finish my bachelor's. I've got a 3.9 at USF. Great student, and they denied me access to go back to college. They said, because you're on probation, you can't come here.
Wow.
You can't come here. And I said, this is impossible because obviously there is someone in your campus that is on probation. I've seen who goes here. This is ridiculous.
How far away were you from graduating?
1 semester. I have 1 semester left.
Oh my God.
My wife in her last pregnancy got damn near to being bed rest, and I was finishing up, and we had 4 other young kids, and I was like, I'm going to go ahead and just put it on pause. We'll raise kids. The kids needed help. So I raised them for a handful of years, and I'm trying to go back to college, and they won't let me.
Wow.
But
they want you to fail.
Yeah, I've applied to Walmart. I've applied just as a test. Walmart, McDonald's, they won't hire me because they see my background check. And this is the problem that everyone that comes out of prison has. You can't get a job. You are unemployable.
Jeez. Wow. Yeah, that's why you have to start a YouTube channel.
Oh, I'm taking psychology, Jacob Matthews.
Oh. One of the more useless degrees.
But
it's still something.
I'm fascinated by the human mind. I'd like to know why it is I do what I do.
Wow, that's really neat. Did you get a lot of backlash from friends, from family? Anybody disown you?
Yeah, actually, we lost a lot of friends. I will say, there was one guy who stuck by me the entire time, or a bunch, but one person, his name is Tim Steckel. He's actually the guy who let me know who you are. He's like, you've got to listen to Chrissie Mayr.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. His name is
Tim.
His name is Tim Steckel. He's my best friend. He is. Guys can have best friends, right? That's not weird.
Oh yeah, that's not gay.
He's my best friend, and we talk probably 3 times a day. We're constantly sending memes to each other, and like he was kind of he was that life raft I needed in the middle of all of this, because you can't come home and just dump everything on your wife and your kids. Like, you need a place to go when you're going through this stuff. And he was there for me the whole time, like every single day.
Was he there too that day, or no, he stayed home?
No, he was home because he's a responsible adult.
Wow, isn't that nice? But he doesn't have the memories.
He doesn't have the memories, yeah. But he's a great guy. I can't say enough good things about him. But I also had, like, there were dozens. I always talk about the people who left and abandoned me. The 10-year friends who weren't there for me, who said, you're a terrorist now, and you've gone through the same things, I'm sure. Or it's like, I was there for a day doing something that I believe in, and you've known me for over a decade. This one thing ruins the entire breadth of who I am, all of our memories, all of our existence together.
So it's ultimately like the biggest sign of insecurity, because they're so worried what people will think of them if they associate with you.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't blame them either. Like, when you see what happened to the people of January 6th, when you see the 2-year imprisonments without trials, people going on, I don't blame you for being scared. I don't blame you for backing off and saying, hey, I can't be a part of that because I don't want to be a part of that. I don't blame you. But in the same sense, if you see it going on, you have to know at some point they'll come after you too. This is not just
Because the bar will be increasingly lowered for what it takes for you to be considered a
Yes.
terrorist. Yeah.
Any power you give to the government, when your government's, when your side's winning, it's a power that will be used against you in the long term. Are you following the Restrict Act?
Hmm.
Have you heard of this with the banning of TikTok?
I've definitely heard it. I've definitely heard of it. I don't know if it was like where it is in the process right now, but it's basically, they're using TikTok as the reason to just do Patriot
Mhm.
Act 2.0.
Yeah, and I worry about my kids' future and everything that there is no reason that I was there other than I'm worried about my kids and where the country is going. And we can talk about elections, we can talk about COVID, we can talk about everything, but at the end of the day, it's my family I'm worried about. Like, my family has more value than anyone else's lives. And if it means we have to show up and sacrifice and be martyred, I'm sorry we got here, but you were asleep too long. You let things go too far. I blame everyone who was not there before me, saying this is not okay.
Yeah. Just because it was they didn't want to be awkward, or they didn't
Mhm.
want to lose friends or lose a job,
Mhm.
or most people are pretty non-confrontational.
There's that story I heard a long time ago. It's on a podcast somewhere, but they talked about the pastor in Nazi Germany that had a congregation. Stop me if you've heard this, but they could hear the trains going off during church, where they were taking um, the Jewish people to the camps, and all they did instead was they sang louder so they couldn't hear the trains.
Wow.
Right, as they were taking off their neighbors. Right, they were taking their neighbors, the people they had over birthday parties, the people who baked bread. And where we are now is we are watching them take people away, or at least take away their ability to speak, take away their ability to live. Like, it's happening now. And you can sing louder if you want, you can ignore it if you want, but it's not going to stop the trains from running. It's important for us to stand up and say, this is not okay. And you do it at your dinner table, you do it with your family, you do it with your coworkers, you do it in public at the coffee shop. It's important to say it now, because where we are now is at the precipice of where we won't have a chance to fight back later. Like, we have to talk now.
Right. And I don't think people can see a future where you can't talk because they just haven't lived through something like that, or they
Mhm.
don't, it's super scary. That was a very serious tone. You don't want anyone knowing who
So
your wife is
serious.
at the facility anyways. Oh, yeah. Is that part of it too? In prison, you don't want people knowing who your wife is?
Yes and no. Yeah. So you don't want really pictures of your wife. So they have it's taboo to go inside of other people's cells, right? Or other people's
Oh,
like housing spaces. It's
personal
kind
space. Yeah.
Yes, you don't go in there, you don't look at photos that are hanging on the wall. It is their space, and it will start a fight. Like, if you're caught, like when you're walking down the hallway, getting to your space, you don't look left and right into people's rooms. That's their private.
Really?
That
That
is
would be
their.
my first thing to do. I'd be like, "Ooh, what's your cell like? What's it like over here? Is it a little bigger over here?" That's what I always do. Every apartment building I've ever lived in, anytime there's an open door, I'm like, "Ooh, what does that apartment look like?" I would be so bad at
I
that.
learned I learned a lot of things very, very quickly. Very, very
Wow.
quickly.
Okay. Any prison crushes? Anybody have a crush on you?
There was okay. So there is one story. I'm not shared this yet. So they had us in quarantine, and the way quarantine works is if you're unvaccinated, you have to stay there for 5 days, and then they'll let you into the units that is basically general population, right? But if new people come into the quarantine unit, within those 5 days, the count starts over. So naturally, what
Wow.
happens is the unit starts getting more and more and more full. So when I first get there, it's me and this older dude. I can't remember his name, but this guy he wrote some book about Christian past lives paranormal thing, like absolute fucking nutter. I'm like, okay, guy, I'm gonna be in my bed reading. So as the unit starts getting fuller, this guy comes in and he's definitely he holds his back hip a lot. Just say that, that thing.
Okay, that classic, yeah.
Yeah, he does
Old
that.
person
He
pose.
does that a lot, and he talks with his other hands
Okay,
a
I see
lot.
where this is
So
going.
the signs are there, but he's a nice guy. He's been in for probably 13 years at this point.
Whoa.
Yep. So he's been to most federal prisons across the country. He comes in, super nice guy. We're doing puzzles together, hanging out and stuff. And I'm like, oh, he's fine. He's fine. Whatever. I don't really give a shit. And there's a day where I'm taking a shower, right? And I turn around, and this guy is at my door, like at the stall door, and he's just kind of looking like, and I'm like, bro, you good or what's going on? He's like, oh, I didn't see you there. I was like, what, with your eyes, or how did you're looking right at me? I'm definitely right here. And so he ended up leaving, getting embarrassed, walking away, and that was the only like real incident that I could say was, that for my
Yeah.
time in.
He was putting out the vibe and you
Yeah,
thwarted the vibe.
I was like, I'm definitely not down for that.
I didn't see you there. You're looking right at me. Wow. These prison pickup lines sure are
I know.
extreme. Yeah.
I just wish I didn't have I lathered for like a couple of minutes. It's awful.
Wow.
God knows what he was imagining.
He wanted to give you some protein. Wow.
But a super nice guy. He actually had a birthday party inside in our unit. He had like a nice cake brought in. He had a bottle of Johnny Walker Blue brought in. So it's a nice guy.
Yeah.
He shared.
Every time you see him, you just hold the soap a little tighter.
A little bit tighter, yeah.
Was that a thing? Do people in prison, first of all, I think prison's probably a great place for a very, a 1,000-piece puzzle. I always see them and I'm like, oh, who has the time? But I think they're made for people in prison.
Yeah, I did. So downstairs in quarantine, I was there for 14 days. I did 7 1,000-piece puzzles 3 times a piece.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was not a lot to do. Not a lot to do. And you couldn't get books and stuff in until 10 days in because your number's not printed for the world to see, and it takes a long time to get stuff in. So I just did puzzles. And then I
Wow.
couldn't talk to my family for 2 or 3 days because they don't help you.
Wow. Sounds like all in all, you had a pretty good time in prison. It could have been,
I made the best of it.
You
Best of
did.
it. Yeah.
I feel like prison really shows you who you are.
I mean, what am I gonna do? Cry every day?
Yeah.
I can definitely tell you when everything happened, it did break me for a time. There was a time where I thought, I'm not gonna be here to teach my kids how to drive their cars. I'm not gonna be here to, dress them, in suits for prom or see them get
Aw.
married. This is the space that we lived in for a long, long time. And it took about a year to get over that and realize, look, the only thing that's really changed is half of the world was always going to hate me because of my politics. And half of the world was always going to love me because of my politics. The only difference is now is that they know my name, is that more people know my name and can tell me I don't like you or I do like you. That's all that's changed. And for me to live in a space where I'm constantly depressed, why would I wreck my family? Why would I make them live through my drama and my trauma? I won't do that to them. So it behooves me to pick myself up with bootstraps and be a better person and just live as positively as I can.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. What I don't know what got you through. I guess it sounds like your family got you through the tough times.
They did. My wife is a rock. I cannot give this woman more compliments than she deserves. She is everything. I met her while I was going through a divorce. Actually, I had 3 kids from a previous marriage, and I met her in the middle of
So you have
going through.
kids.
Sorry.
You have 8 kids.
I have 5 kids.
Oh, okay.
So I had 3
You
kids.
said 3. Okay,
I had
additional.
3 kids in my first marriage, and like, you're young, you get married and just you don't know each other, things don't work out. And my ex is not a horrible person. She's actually like a decent person. So she talks to the kids, she calls, she's involved, she's fine. But I met my wife now going through everything, and she wanted nothing to do with me. She's like, "You're going through a divorce, and I don't want to be with you. You've got all these kids." And I was like, "Well, that's fine. We could be friends." And I wasn't really looking to date either because I was finally like pseudo single. So I was going to go out there and have a good time, you know? But I met her and I was actually pissed because I was like, well, God damn it. There go my plans. I had to marry this woman.
Oh.
She's perfect. Like, she is everything. Like, we could not stop talking to each other and texting each other. And like, when you know your person, like when you find your person, there is no one else ever, like literally ever. We've been married coming up on 12 years, and she adopted the 3 older kids I had in my first marriage. So she's actually their, legal mom now, and we had 2 together. But she's everything. She went through this, and we had days where we cried together, but we realized, like, as long as we have each other, the world can tear us down, but this is all that matters. Our family is all that matters.
Yeah, you were like, as long as we have each other and I have my great hair, we're gonna be okay. Keep brushing it. No. Well, you just have the best attitude, Adam, and it's so great to get to know you. I can't wait to have you back on when you can tell even more stories. I feel like a lot of the people in the chat would buy your book whenever it comes out.
We
Yeah.
may be releasing it for free. That is
Okay.
that is actually on the horizon. I won't talk about it too much, but it's not about the money. People need to know what happened, how the government
Yeah.
will treat you, and what they will do to you.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm just happy you're in one piece and still have your great hair. Other than following you on Twitter at lectern leader and on Instagram at _lectern_guy. Anywhere else where people can follow you?
Nope. Just I'm mainly on Twitter right now. I have a good time. Again, if you see my stuff and you're like, man, that doesn't seem like him, it's a joke.
You're the best, Adam. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for the time. Appreciate it so much. And thank you to the chat for your comments and your good questions. And
Yeah, thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
we'll see you next time. Bye.